for you to be in the tattoo chair.
Piss. Right.
What did Fresh say? 8-7 Wolves?
Did he say 8-7 Wolves? Nah, I think they win this in regulation.
8-7 Wolves.
Is that what he said?
Predicted. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Cool. Well, we shan't worry until we get to round 8. We'll do our jobs. We'll actually focus on the game for the first 8 rounds. Then we can worry about my Heine and its potential tattoo edition to follow.
Oh,
I thought it was all over, man. I'm so gutted.
You and your big mouth, Des. So funny. It'll be funny. It'll be funny when it happens.
It's not failed me so far, Tim. Somehow I still get paid to come back and talk a bunch of crap on a broadcast. And so I can keep on talking crap on the timeline as well. Let's see how things roll out. It's going to be Wolves kicking things off on the defense here of Cafe. Just seeing both coaches make comments that feel somewhat different but aligned, which I know sounds weird to say. Same but different. Yeah, the reason for that, I think, is because what you see Wolves really coming forward and saying is overthinking, overdoing, not being able to deliver the end product. On the Gen.G side, it was more about that togetherness, that trust, the culture that seems to be lacking. And while there's probably different symptoms leading to it, it's the same outcome where both teams aren't hitting the kind of results or the big strides that both teams feel they should be able to. So I'm hoping that as we've gone through the stage a bit further now, we've got a chance for that to be improved coming into this game, because if it ain't fixed by today, it's probably not going to be fixed by Super Week next week, and that is when we've got 3 games for 3 days in a row, 3 games to play. Lots of swing can happen in the league table by the end of those 3 days, so both teams have really got to show what they're made of here today.
Deadshot taking a little bit of a risk there by rappelling up on the wider side of that balcony. He can be picked off from the windows that he was checking, to be fair, but put himself in harm's way possibly. Didn't find anybody, nor did anybody find him, so all's well that ends well as Gen.G get themselves up onto the rappels here. They're going to be working the windows to make it difficult for anybody playing inside of Piano. It's actually a reading room side, but Gen.G are, of course, going to want to take over that top floor to begin with.
I mean, right now, they're numbing through all this utility they possibly can as they're charging through with those Bravo drones. It's been quite a popular operator tonight, I think it's fair to say. Tim, seeing it picked upon a good few maps, a good few different sites as well, of course, for different gadgets to go hunting through. But when you're looking at this lineup with the double bulletproofs coming on side, also got the Malusi gadget, makes total sense. Nako there stepping ahead, arguably the rest of his team. Losing that Dokkaebi here is a real stinger. I'm not quite sure why he was trying to push in solo like that, but has paid the price. The team out Gen.G and now down a man.
I've got a feeling that we might see a slightly different Wolves tonight. I think, you know, they've had
regulation, I'm telling you. It's done.
Yeah, I think they've had a couple of losses that I think are going to be a bit of a wake-up call for them. But if you look at the games they've had, they started against G2, then they played Fnatic, fair enough, it was a close game. But then they've had Falcons, they've had some tough games in there so far. You know, it's certainly not been an easy run. They've played Secret, they've played Falcons, they've played G2, so they've played 3 out of the top 4 teams so far. Not been an easy run for them, and I think maybe a little bit of a wake-up call with the results that they've had, but they're going to need a quicker wake-up call as Krex will be taken down. So we now find ourselves 4 versus 3 as Zessa manages to find one. There is a response though with Leader taking down Deadshot.
Really would hope to see Wolves come out strong in this half, admittedly on the defense. Like, we think a Cafe, at least historically, I always think heavily defender-sided. A bit more of a kind of a mid-pack map now. You get other maps that are more defender-sided, but I would still hope to see Wolves have like a push to pull it out, especially when teams are struggling to synergize a little bit. I think you have better effect on the defense than you do on the attacking side. It's on the attack where the frayed ends really start to show themselves. However, Gen.G not in a bad spot here with these final 3 on their push on through. No one immediately in sight, but there was a bulletproof camera just staring down at them there for a second. Here comes the plant trying to come on through. They've got the rounding off towards the side, but he's going too high. Aim lower. What are you doing? Got away with it there a little bit, but it's Gen.G now in a 2 versus 1. Noodle with it all to do. Sees the one, but misses his chance again there. 2 moments where they could have had this round sealed up, but they're paying the price for it. And now encountering all of those hacked out gadgets, and there's a player above. Gen.G should be able to take round 1, Tim.
Well, what a beautiful example we've just had of the power of Brava there. Runs into the Banshee, wastes a couple of seconds by being slowed down, and what does it give Gen.G the time to do? Get upstairs and take that power position. Otherwise, maybe he's a couple of seconds ahead. He can take that challenge at Pillars straight away, get the kill, get straight on. It's a bit of a different situation. And so, you know, just a great example of the power of those Brava drones and the reason that we're seeing them brought along more and more there. And you've got to be so aware as defenders of, you know, what gadgetry have you lost? What have you not? Gen.G take the first round. It's 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, solid start. A couple of missed opportunities really for Wolves in that I felt was probably the heartbreaking part. Getting rid of Adokaby early on, as I mentioned, the time is massive. Like, Necro was way out of spot and getting himself picked up there. But just down a little bit more here. And that probably stops it. You know, Noodles missed that chance. He's missed the man exiting the room itself. Could have been either a round-ending opportunity or at least forcing it down to a 1v1. So a couple of missed chances there, especially from Noodle. A well-played to Gen.G, managed to recover that round after losing the entry. They start up at 1-0.
Yeah, great start for Gen.G, especially on the attack of Cafe. Like you said, you know, we maybe sometimes expect it to be, you know, a little bit of a lean to defenders, maybe a 4-2 half. So Wolves already behind the pace after the first round. We're going to see them moving across sites instead of reading ring. We're going to be moving over this time to mining. And it looks like we could have, with Blackbeard on side, it always makes me wonder, is there going to be a little bit of a direct attempt towards side? Get on that window and get inside and pressure it quickly.
Only got a couple of
it's going
smokes
to be the
play
case.
on. Maybe looking more towards the nades here to help deal with the bulletproofs. In fact, there's so much information though, right? Valkyrie on side, 3 bulletproofs. That is a lot they've got to chew through. Admittedly, we might see these guys have another wonderful round with the Brava drone, just hacking away anything and everything that stands before him, which is always great, but I feel trying to pull off that kind of execute here will just really come back to bite them. Wouldn't be surprised if at some point you see someone step down into the basement if they've got a C4 on side, as in the guy I'm looking at here with that. Of course, we've got other players still hanging up on this top floor. 3 of them, in fact, that have got to be cleared through. So, not the easiest march through for Gen.G. There are quite a few players they need to remove or at least unseat from this top floor if they want to start thinking about an execute. That's step 1.
We've seen a lot less Bosch-G usage lately since the nerf that came in just gave it a bit more of a damage drop-off, so it's not as powerful, particularly at range, but we are going to have Noodle bringing it along this time around. Has switched out to the secondary at the minute, so we might not see any of those big slug shots, but Gen.G just looking to get aggressive onto white stairs. They've got the upside down rappel. It is such a power position, is that white stairs window. You can hold all the way down to pixel spot. You stop the bathroom rotation. Playing around timber becomes difficult. It can be really tough when you've got somebody who's committed to playing there, and they still, at this minute, Gen.G holding that position.
Next, hanging away with that bulletproof camera as well, the one that looks straight in towards mining. So if you were going to see a late mining execute through the window, then sure, they've got rid of the intel that at least would help the defenders deal with that for the most part. So one or two other spots where they might hear it, like this one here, you probably hear the window getting smashed open, and you've still got players inside a site that you need to move in some way, shape or form. But for Gen.G, a big focus on this top floor. They've got that control now, and it's a free shot coming down red, not appreciating that Skies or someone else might start their march forwards.
Tyrant taken out there. We're going to see the flash. Is it a flash? No, it's a smoke that's going to come down, but the challenge is there. Skies is ready. Plant is going down. It is going to be the Blackbeard, so a little bit of protection with the shield on the back. Deadshot manages to pick up one. The fight back comes from Krex, but not going to be able to do anything as Naquo shuts him down. This is looking like a second successful attack for Gen.G as they try to challenge the Blackbeard. Is successful, but Hazard not going to get any more than that. Gen.G close it out. It's 2-0, and they're looking much, much better than the last couple of times I've seen them.
And a lot better than Wolves, it's fair to say as well. Like Wolves, that round, it felt like we're largely stood around waiting to die, which sounds weird to say, but we didn't see too much active defense coming out of them. They weren't looking to disrupt. Admittedly, it was a lot of work done by Gen.G with the flashes to force them back from that top floor to get them out of bar. So fair play, that used utility well to not have to get involved in a gunfight, but enough to force those defenders back. More just the kind of concern on my side is that there was then nothing really off the bat. They didn't try and retake ground. They were being surprised by players pushing down red. Like, that should 100% be an expectation. Like, a second kill for Skies there, working his way down red. No real response until later on. And by that point, it's already too late for Wolves to fight their way back in. So just a little bit of foresight there, maybe not being respectful of where the attack is coming from or not really understanding what the game plan of Gen.G was there. It just looked very out of sorts.
Yeah, and they're going to head back to reading. So 3 rounds, and we haven't yet seen Kitchen. We haven't seen the top floor, which I don't hate. I'm not, as you all know, a big great fan of the top floor, but just seeing them bounce between these 2 mid-floor sites is interesting because they're very much the same. They're not the same site, but they're very, very similar in their process, and that's, you know, look to get that verticality. With mining, you can play on the window a little bit more, but look to get that vertical control. Mining, you control red stairs. For reading, you want to control white stairs as much as you can, and then try and push onto site and get that diffuser down in a safe corner and hold it from above. It's very much the same, and Wolves, having failed twice, are going to go back and give it a 3rd attempt, and you just feel going 3-0 down. That is a catastrophic start for Wolves in this one.
They've shown that desire to roam, so I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen them go and step onto the basement, go into the ground floor and play inside a kitchen, and then do a full map roam and really force Gen.G to have to chew through you. It would be a great way to waste time and potentially see yourself coming out the victor, so I'm not 100% sure on the play here, as it were, but really they feel that they could have won it last time around. I would agree if Noodle had hit either of the 2 kills that he really needed to, but Gen.G was still the ones that would probably consider themselves in control of that previous round, so I don't know.
Bit of a setup inside of barback storage. Plenty of rotations in and out. Likely one over towards Timber as well, but for now, just going to stay in that freezer position, play behind the keep the barricades, try and make this exact push difficult. It's not going to work. Deadshot manages to get in. Skies with one as well. Wolves are crumbling at the minute, Des. Asa manages to find one. Make it 2. As I speak, the caster curse strikes. Leader picks up Zazox, and all of a sudden, Wolves go from what was looking like a dire 3rd round to being in the driving seat. 3 versus 2.
Asa should really have no business getting those 2 kills. He's lost all of his allies up on that top floor. There's a big flood from Gen.G onto that top floor, you know, dropping in through Skylight, people charging in from top red. Like, it was entirely their floor to be taken over. The fact he's got 2 kills and lives to tell the tale is criminal, really. You can't be letting someone get away with that. Sounds a lot of work for Skies and Deadshot to do. Wolves in this 3 versus 2 on the defending side. There's realistically no way they should be losing this. However, we've already seen some crazy rounds tonight. Surely should not happen again.
You wouldn't have expected so. 50 seconds left to go. Still battling with utility, taking out that 2nd activated FNAT. Just trying to avoid taking any damage from below at the minute. We see explosives detonated below. Tyrant with the nitro doesn't find anybody, but at least does give them something to think about. Going in for the plant. This is a bold move. Deadshot is going to be on the cover, and Skies tries to pull off the plant for a second there. I thought Deadshot might get 2 and bring it back to a 1v1, but it wasn't to be. Wolves with a more solid round there, but it was... At least the 2nd half of the round was more solid, but it was built on that big Asa play in the middle of the round.
Yep. I mean, really, again, they shouldn't have let Asa get away with that. When they've got this flood on the top floor, they've killed 2. It's like, yeah, this is ours. It's our control. The fact that Asa plants his feet, gets a couple of kills, one onto the other, a couple of seconds apart, sure, has managed to get that space to isolate 1v1s. That has been what has got that round over the line for them. So a big play by him. It gets them on the board at the very least, and that's the important part. Gen.G will probably want to try and make amends for that one, get this back on track again. Feel they started one of the first 2 rounds. We'll want to try and get more in this first half. Those extra bands that come on through. Not surprised to see the Valkyrie stepping away, because you saw that paired up with the triple bulletproof cam setup. That was a lot of intel, so it is forcing Gen.G to have to play a Brava, for example. You may see them being given a little more flexibility now that Valkyrie's been taken away, although by the looks of it, still respect being shown by Deadshot with the IQ being hovered here.
I'm kind of half surprised that we haven't seen the Brava taken away. Gridlock, of course, being Wolves' 3rd ban choice. We've seen Deadshot play it for a few rounds, just looking to close off the flanks with it. But whilst Nomad's available, he's still going to be able to do that job. And Brava has certainly been hurting them. They've been losing a lot of utility to it. We've seen, bunches of FNATs taken away. We've seen the effect of that Malusi Banshee in the first round that just slowed down the attempt of Noodle to get onto the flank, try and get in and try to start working something on the retake once the diffuser was down. So we'll see how that choice pans out. Keep an eye on Skies, keep an eye on that Brava, and see how much value Gen.G get out of it over the next few rounds.
Definitely, yeah. Of course, still eyeing up the bulletproofs big time, so that's the one to watch out for. Otherwise, Noodle's still fancying himself running around on the Vigil. Boss G still in hand once again. I want to say it was Demo told me on a cast we did together that it's now 4 shots at a certain range for the Boss G to kill someone. I was like, 4? No way. but with the damage drop-off, it is really quite severe. So you're more looking to be mid-range when using it rather than trying to hope to snipe someone inside a spawn, for example. Of course, headshots still work the same way, but relying on those, obviously a lot harder to do than relying on a body shot.
Big loss, big loss.
Same one as before,
Bulletproof Cam, FNAT, both gone. And the Brava still available. Going to grab that default cam as well. That is a huge amount of intel and utility that has been lost by Wolves to an operator that could have been banned away. As I say, I know that there is value in taking away the gridlock. You're opening up those flanks a little bit. So what we need to watch for now is on the defense, the Wolves use those flanks effectively. Did they have the opportunity to maybe move back up and retake top floor? If not, if they don't have those moments, then the answer is there for you.
That's why they're leaning towards playing on the Solars, for example. Of course, can see the air jabs and deal with those. You can't do much about the gridlocks, unfortunately. And I tell you what, I didn't even see Skies than either as well. Crack's had zero chance of walking away with a kill there. Down he goes, being a little bit cheeky, a little bit aggressive onto the hatch and pays the price for it. Gen.G in the driving seat once more.
Yeah, looking to get inside of the map and take a bit of ground now. A minute 30 though. They might be just slightly behind the pace here. We'd like them to be opening up the floor by now. Leader will manage to pick up one with a Nitro, so that's great for Fnatic. Just keeps them in this one, prevents them getting too far behind, and it's a beauty of a double from Noodle. And I think he was hitting them on the flank. So there you go. The gridlock ban does pay off.
Alrighty. Still the sting here is that once more, Gen.G have started strong and seen it just slip away from them. And again, I'll come back to the words that Akdar was saying before when we heard Leo speaking about on the desk earlier. Freebie. Everyone was a little shot to the back of the leg. Oof, painful. Down to a 2v2. But again, I think back again to that sync, that trust, that faith in one another is what's missing. Hello, Naquo. Out of seemingly nowhere has completely flipped it on its head. Wolves are about to lose what was a 3v2. It's now a 1v2.
I think all the luck that Azza enjoyed in the last round just came back to bite him. It was so unfortunate he moved across into the shots of Naquo. Like you say, Tyrant now left in a position of trying to hold on. He knows where the pressure's going to come from. Manages to hit the shots onto Deadshot, puts him down. 1v2 becomes a 1v1, but it doesn't matter because Naquo steps around, finds him moving back in from dining, and that's a third successful attack for Gen.G.
But my God, did it require a hero moment from Naquo? 4K in the round as well. I think many expected this to be a bit of a battle of the bottom in a way, like those teams down the bottom that we've heard are struggling a little bit, synergy issues, all the rest of it. It has turned into a little bit of that, where we're starting out with one team on top, the other team swings it back with a big flank, and the other team swings it back with one player going nuclear. There's not much coherence across the rounds. It's just a bit up and down. It makes it really hard to predict which way it goes. As it stands now, at least, Gen.G are up 3-1 on the attack, which is a brilliant line to be at. But you will ask questions of Wolves and their defending here so far. It could be so much better. And that's a 3-1 for Noodle, really. That really should have been seen out far sooner.
Naquo there, you know, talking of free, manages to find one down through the vertical, takes out the calf shots and gets it done. Is going to punish them. Gen.G are starting to, I don't want to say running away with this, because Wolves, you know, this can still get a 3-3 split. Onto the attacker cafe, it's not the end of the world. It is a map that, you know, can be attacked very, very well. But I'm not convinced Wolves are going to come out and get these last two rounds.
No, I mean, not with how things have gone so far, but then equally, do you necessarily think Gen.G have the consistency to come out and win them either? Not really, which is what it half feels like. It depends on which team wants to be the one losing it. It sounds weird to say, but it's again that case of who wants to lose it. Noodle starting out strong here. Deadshot, the one who's fallen away on that, but admittedly, Noodle's on about 1 HP, and I was going to say, given how early in the round it was, surely someone was coming from that spawn side, and it was. Acer was there, gets the trade back, 1 for 1.
Big loss though, big loss with the book going. However, Skies is on the Rams, so they do still have an answer for the verticality. They've got the sledge as well, so not the end of the world. It's always a loss having the utility taken away, but they have got plenty of alternatives here. It's, you know, a lineup that is absolutely screaming that we are going to destroy every floorboard here before we start pushing ourselves towards that.
Absolutely. May as well play the round out from the start again here, just in that 4 versus 4. Ignore those two players out of scrap at the start. But as it moves on forward, there I was going to say, also the ability to hack away, of course, and Naquo keeping that Doctor B online here. Big fan of the operator in general. About to get that second phone call up in about 15 seconds to make use of at the same time. We'll take away those evil eyes. No bulletproofs to play on this round, which is quite uncommon for Wolves. We've seen it nearly every single round so far. Oh, and also the fact, of course, considering the fact that there's the second Skopos shell, which also serves as that bulletproof and a shield at the same time.
Krex is the linchpin on this defense at the minute, playing the Warden out in VIP. He needs to hold them off. They've opened that freezer hatch, so that's where they're going to be looking to get that push going forward. So they need to be aware of that. They need to clear that Warden out of position. Leader will take the chance to move himself into Small Bakery on the second Skopos shell. That might catch Gen.G out. I'm not sure how aware of that they are.
He was playing inside a coat, wasn't he? And was a bit worried off the back of a flash he'd get pushed. However, Execute is going down here as well. Shots coming in, but no one's actually hitting the man himself. They try and do what they can, but no! It gets complete. They've got the verticals raining in against them. 2 kills over to Gen.G. Leader will do what he can to fight back. Azza. But it's 2 kills apiece they need. Now 4 kills for Azza. He might have had a good round earlier on, Tim, but this one is done. Gen.G with a great Execute. And again, Wolves just look a little bit lost. Not really quite sure where the attack was coming from, how to respond to it. Definitely a game plan that Gen.G have brought to this one that Wolves simply haven't had a chance to read into.
Yeah, Wolves still had a lot of control. I'd spoken about, you know, Krex's position on the Warden inside of VIP. Usually, that's the player that's going to control the freezer drop and prevent the players getting in there and being able to get the diffuser down. But he hadn't been able to do that. Whether he'd been engaged at the time and maybe distracted, I don't know. But if you're going to still be holding those positions, you've still got sight. There was nobody, like, you know, being forced away from sight, really. There was a lot of verticals opened up, but there was still Wolves players that were able to be positioned in there. And G have just been able to drop in and get that diffuser down, and it just looks a little bit too easy for them at the minute.
Yeah. I mean, I'll also come back to what you said all night long, Tim. There are 2 hours to a game of Siege. Could see a very, very different Wolves on the attacking side. Could really have their stuff together. And Gen.G might be the ones that are crumbling on the defense. Like, at least based on what we've seen so far across these 5 rounds, that won't be the case. But again, you just never know how the tides are going to change once you get that side switch come in. That'll be after this round, though. Round 6, the last one of the half. If Gen.G go 5-1 on the attack on Cafe, that's going to sound crazy.
It's really going to set them up as well. I mean, you know, we're kind of finishing the day as we started it. Of course, VP went 5-1 up on the attack.
Yeah.
It was Bank, not Cafe, but, you know, against G2. And then we saw G2 run it all the way back and get it into overtime before getting an eventual win. That, of course, would leave us in a situation with Wolves winning 8-7 in overtime, Des, which, you know, I don't need to tell you what the consequences of that would be.
No contact with our
Yeah. It would be a bit mental. Again, that reminder that we're going into next week as the Super Week, where we have 3 play days, and then that's it. Our league play is done. Playoffs then begin. We've currently got 2 teams locked at the top in Falcons and Secret. They are guaranteed to be in playoffs. Everyone else right now still in contention, and those are 2 teams I just mentioned can still fight for the top 2 spots to get a first round bye. So lots to look forward to once we start getting in towards playoffs. That's where things get really spicy, and you'd imagine a lot of prep work goes into those games where potentially these underdog teams could upset one of the big boys and steal their spot away.
Naquo's looking to get aggressive on the mid floor. Working towards sight here. He's going to get himself into train and be able to just sit there and hold a position through sight. And if Wolves are unaware of this, you guarantee somebody is going to get punished. Somebody is going to get punished as they move their way back. You can absolutely guarantee it.
Oh, they have linked him. Oh, it was a nice try from Tyrant as well. Almost clicked onto Naquo, but he's found the kill. And now there's that sudden panic. Guys, there's someone in train. What are we going to do? Hello? Someone react. So now these guys are dancing around in red, knowing that sight isn't safe to step back into. Mining isn't safe to step back into. All hell's going to break loose a bit there, and it will force the rest of Wolves to have to scramble back to try and retake lost ground.
Leader's trying to work downstairs on the Oryx. Of course, that gridlock ban maybe just giving the impression that he's going to be able to move up those red stairs, make a challenge on the flank. We will see whether Gen.G are aware of that or not. Asa is on the Nomad Skies, manages to find Leader, takes him down. The Oryx has been dealt with. Krex with 1 back as a trade, but 4 versus 3. Gen.G still have some good control here. Asa's taken out, and surely this is going to be a 5-1 half on the attack. Skies goes for a double in the round. 4 versus 1 now. It's all up to Noodle to fight back. He is the sentry, and he's going to have to dig deep, plant firm, and try and find some kills.
Wolves really not looking up to it today, are they? The fact they've let players in through gaps in the defense and all sorts, it is not a good look. Now in a 3 versus 1 for Noodle, it feels like all but done, and sure enough it is a 5-1. Really only feels like, and again, I hate saying this kind of stuff because it sounds like I'm undermining Gen.G in saying this. They played the game before and they played it well, but their opponent, it feels, only half turned up today.
I think, it's fair to say that Wolves have certainly felt or seemed off the pace, you know, versus what we might expect from them. Maybe, you know, they've had a couple of losses back to back, and maybe it's just starting to pay dividends, and it's, you know, starting to mount up now. You look at it was a hard fought game against Wild yesterday, and games like that will take their toll. You know, if you're playing them kind of back to back and you come in here, there's a lot of pressure on Wolves now. This is a bottom of the table clash. They're both on 3 points. Whoever loses this then sits dead last in the table, and maybe that pressure's just getting to them a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. I mean, hopefully now there's a bit of a chance to shake your head a little bit, get a reset going into the second half, because it can't carry on the way that it has. Are we yet to see another 5-1 attacking half and then OTB has bound him? Again, I get the sense that no, but we do have a Caveira on side, so that's something to worry about. Not so sure about that one, Chief. Gen.G starting things off down in the dining cafe, down inside of the kitchen, mind you, which means they may well be trying to force Wolves into a full map clear here, unless they want to go direct towards site, which is always a risk. I mean, Nako is going to be the problem that's always going to come in from above here if they ignore what's going on upstairs. He could be the one coming down red, stabbing him in the back, getting themselves interrogation if he's lucky, and at least getting themselves the round win over the line.
I think that Wolves are well aware of the cav, of course. Nako will run off to try and add. It's the blitz coming along. Just watch where Noodle goes. They switched out from I think it was Capito that Noodle was on originally. The leader's now on Capito. It might not have been. But Noodle switched out to blitz, and if he goes to the top floor, that tells me that they're aware of the cav and they just want the blitz to run her down, essentially. Cav's really easy to deal with if you know that she's there. Her gun's not great at range, so you just engage at range and try to, this is another way of dealing with the cav, of course, get aggressive and just go rushing in there.
C4 himself, that definitely helps. That means the blitz ain't gone, however, he is looking pretty low at this point. This is where, again, you'll see Nako start to move, like I mentioned. Down ready comes, and now maybe able to get a bit of a backstab going on through the small bake side if we can get into spot. But Noodle is getting the plant down in this spot. It's a good attack from Wolves here. They've definitely caught Gen.G off guard, and they've now got to spring into action and react.
Yeah, that was the play. Like I said, rather than chasing the cav down, it was just, let's take the cav out of the equation. We'll just run straight into sight and force them to play into us. 3v2 though, as kills do start to come in. This could be doable for Gen.G. Nako and Azox just need to find one more kill. Tyrant scrambling at the minute. Azox, he's on the disable here. Surely they're not going to let him get away with it. Yeah. They have no choice. Nako finds the final kill, and that's going to be Gen.G with a successful retake. Wolves, you had it in your hand. You'd done the hard work.
What I'm really a bit perplexed by is how they managed to force that 2v1 to the player inside a bakery. Like, Nako was coming from the challenge for small bake side. He just pushed out from bottom red. He impacted, of course, is drawing attention. Then there's a shot from deep inside a site that gets the kill onto this bakery player. All the meanwhile, the plant's going down. They're starting to get control of site. I'm just like, where are these other players? Like, how is their backline being isolated into a 2 versus 1? It was dead weird. I don't know if Wolves have gone too deep or whatnot. I don't think they like tried to explode them towards red, and that's where they started losing players. It was just very, very strange there. A little bit chaotic once again, and Wolves ultimately hand Gen.G the keys to the kingdom. That's an unfortunate C4.
It really is.
Is this the shot? Oh, yeah, nice. Okay, good shot. I didn't think it was like deep inside. I didn't realize it was that deep inside.
The moment where Tyrant came into sight there, knowing that they were disabling the diffuser and he was trying to scramble to do something about it, it just kind of summed up Wolves' night for me. Like, they were in the advantage, they had the diffuser down, and then all of a sudden, Tyrant finds himself 1v2, runs into sight, tries to spray it down, but they tucked him behind the diffuser so he can't even see him to hit a shot, and then gets taken out. It's kind of just like nearly but not quite, and it's how Wolves have been all night.
Ooh, we got a piano hole coming in from Nako as well, dropping down those Kiva barriers upstairs. I imagine for himself and not to put them down and then leave. Normally want to say let's be able to redeploy those keepers when they get taken out by DMRs, for example. But if you play this right, you can waste so much time inside a piano. Not forgetting that historically you couldn't really play like this because, well, you had no ability to protect yourself from all the windows, whereas now with the Azami, you absolutely do. We've seen some great holds here from individual players, taking out 2 or 3 players by themselves. It can be terrifying. That drone won't have seen him, and he knows it as well. I thought for a second he was going to hang on there and hope for the best, but the drone coming back up the stairs, he has to get out.
Well, the problem that Wolves have got now is that 6-1 up, Gen.G know that they can not burn a couple of rounds, but they can just go at them. They can just get really aggressive. And if it goes 6-2, 6-3, whatever, it's not a problem. You then just knuckle down and say, right, we get the next round. You know, we don't be aggressive anymore. But you may well have it done long before that. Asa just sends a long, long throw, puts his arm behind it, and gets Tyrant with the Nitro. And that's the grim loss. It's going to be a big part of any execution. Getting those Bs in, creating the space. Big loss for Wolves.
Say putting his arm behind it. I think in this day and age we call it a yeet. Yeeted it at him. Which is crazy because obviously he was getting shot at. He knew the player was there and must have expected something was coming back, but had no answer to it. Asa forced to charge his way here in through the fire, but gets himself back quite safely to his team. Noodle's fire only being slightly affected there to deter the Warden. And as it stands, Gen.G have still got that numbers count at this point, Tim. Still got a lot of this top 4 to worry about getting all the soft destruction done on. The second one comes by the name Nacro, and Gen.G might just have this one wrapped up here and now.
Yeah, I think that could be the case. 5 versus 3. Wolves just look battered and bruised at the minute. And maybe just getting caught out one too many times. Noodle manages to find Nacro, takes him down 4 versus 3. That's something for Wolves at least. But with a minute left on the clock, they don't have Diffuser in hand at the minute. So there's still serious work. They're having to go and collect it now. That's another 10 seconds gone. Wolves have got an awful lot to do before they can put this diffuser down, and Gen.G are playing it right. Look at them, they're back on site. They're just spread out, holding long angles through lines of sight that they've got and just forcing Wolves to play.
Right kind of idea for sure, but Gen.G is going to step forward at the opportune moment here and shut this attack down if they can.
Yeah.
You see the 3 players scattered around. I missed where the 4th one was. In fact, I think he's on the downstairs. Well, no, he's upstairs actually on red stairs. There's Asa as well. In they go and try and look for a plant, but Krax is going to inhale a lot of that gas down to half HP, and there's still 2 more to go with 20 seconds to play. Sky's going to just keep on stalling out here. This is no problem.
Yeah, Krax really did not expect that gas coming out, I don't think, and that is the big loss. The Diffuser goes down cold, 9 seconds left to go. They've got to chase the kills. They try to get in Noodle towards Laundry, but he's going to be cut down inside a reading, and that is a rapid win from Gen.G to lift themselves off the bottom of the table.